Takuma Miyazono will line up alongside him on that front row of the grid. His compatriot Takuma Sasaki heads row 2. Alongside him is Koke Lopez, the former champion. Next up, you've got Kai de Bruyne, the Dutchman. Can he do well in the X2019? Well, they have Killen Roach hot on his heels. Next up, you've got Valerio Gallo, another former champion, 7th on the grid for him. Guy Barbara, the Australian, lines up in 8th position. On the fringes of the top 10, Adriano Carrazza, 9th place, a lot of work for him to do. And likewise, Jose Serrano didn't go his way in the sprint race. He lines up right down the back of the field, as well as Angel Enestrosa in 11th place, with Robbie Heck, the American driver, completing our 12-driver strong field. So 3 tyre compounds available, 35 laps of action. Killian Drummond on the soft tyres there, JB. He wants to go and get as much of a gap as he can possible early on. Yeah, for those unfamiliar with the tyre strategies in these World Series events, the soft tyre is a statement of intent. It's saying, I'm going to go fast very quickly at the start of this race. Do not get in my way. And interestingly, only, as you said, Killian Drummond opting for that, with Miyazono, Sasaki, Lopez and De Bruyne from 2nd to 5th, all opting for that slower medium compounder tyre. Callum Roach, also interesting, in that hard in P6, so we'll see how that pans out for him. Well, a very fast-paced race is what we're expecting. 35 laps of action in qualifying. They were doing sub-1 minute laps. I wonder what it would look like under racing conditions, and I am wondering who will be claiming 6 points and the checkered flag in those 35 laps time. It's Killian Drummond, the man who won the sprint race a few moments ago, who starts on pole position, but will he be taking the checkered flag here at Road Atlanta? It's World Series 1 for the Nations Cup. The grand final begins now as Killian Drummond leads the field down to the first corner, followed by Miyazono. And look at Lopez already dragging alongside Takuma Sasaki and taking 3rd place down into the first corner. So Lopez with a bold statement of intent, moving up a position already as he sets his sights firmly on Takuma Miyazono for 2nd. Yeah, Sasaki definitely caught napping there as Gallo does the same to Callum Roach behind, goes up into P6, but Lopez already up into P3. That's important to do that early. If you think you have the pace, try and get out front early and try and get those lap times in. Make the best of a tyre on. Drummond, Miyazono, Lopez, Sasaki are your order as we go onto the back straight for the first time. Here, I would say, is the first real overtaking opportunity, but Carrazza down in P7 has already made up 2 places from his qualifying position in 9th. He likes to come back, does Carrazza, so we'll see how he does as the race goes on. Coming down the bottom of the lap for the first time, heavy braking downhill here, be careful of that. And then very tricky right-hander, try and be careful the throttle over the crest, and that is 1 lap done here at Road Atlanta. The pace is frantic already. Yeah, you can see just how fast they're moving around this circuit. You can see how much it funnels down and goes one at a time through that chicane as well. You've got an opportunity to go 2 by 2 down that back straight. Look at this, hard tyre runners, Roach, Barbara, Enestrosa, Heck, all into the pits at the end of this first lap. The hard tyre's lava, they want to get off it and onto the softs. Yeah, so people coming in for that tyre, you're wondering why they're doing only 1 lap on this hard compounder tyre. Well, the regulations say you have to use 1 tyre at least once. It doesn't say each tyre at least once, and it doesn't say how long you have to be on the tyre. So if the hard compounder tyre is a 2nd lap slower, you know what? In the bin. Penalties coming in for Takuma Miyazono. Valerio Gallo at the start of the 2nd lap. Is that track limits? It must be. Yeah, half a second there for Miyazono. That's going to drop him into the clutches, and if not, allow Koke Lopez to get past here. He's coming into the penalty zone, is Takuma Miyazono. And what about Lopez? He's going to go cascading on through and says thanks very much and goes into 2nd place then. So the Spaniard having a quite brilliant start to this race, and now he's got his sights firmly set on Killian Drummond. Yeah, Koke Lopez is comfortably the most experienced man here out of anyone in the field. This guy he's done 63 races he's done at these live events. He knows how to win races. He knows how to win championships. So, yeah, definitely any move to be made, he'll make it. On board with Sasaki. What a great camera view. This gives you a real sense of speed of this thing. I drove this thing around to yesterday, and I got to tell you, it is very difficult to keep up with this thing. It's incredibly quick for this S section. You can see there you can't go 2 by 2. It's 1 at a time through that section of the lap. Then it begins to open out a little bit, but there's not that many heavy braking zones on this circuit. You go down into 4th gear for this right-hander. It's the chicane really where the best overtaking opportunity is on this track, and you can see now it's the age-old story. Miyazono versus Sasaki. They were knocking 7 bells out of each other in the sprint race here earlier on tonight, and now they're close to one another, nose to tail on track. But Miyazono darts out of the slipstream here of Koke Lopez as we come down the back straight. Miyazono's got the inside line, he's got track position, but does he have the overspeed on Lopez to get 2nd place back? He does. So Miyazono firmly asserting his dominance over the Spaniards. The draft is so strong in these cars, and you might notice, look out front, look who's managed to break that draft already on that soft tyre.
Kylian Drummond. So watch out for Kylian. He needs to put in some very quick laps now, but we'll check in with him later. Meanwhile, on board still with Takuma Sasaki. This time it's Koke Lopez he's looking at the back of, and not his countryman Takuma Miyazono. We go back down the hill here. What an awesome circuit, Road Atlantis. One of the best circuits in the US, in my opinion, and probably in the world, actually, if we're going to talk about that. But such a challenge for these guys and these drivers. Now look at the back of Sasaki. Look who's managed to catch him back up. It's Kai de Bruin. Out of nowhere comes the Dutch driver. Looks up the inside here, inside onto the straight, and Kai de Bruin up into 4th place there, just biding his time, made the pass, but now he's going to be giving that draft to Sasaki behind him.
Yeah, lunging onto the scene and lunging to the inside of Takuma Sasaki was Kai de Bruin then, and Sasaki's trying to repay the favour as we come down this back straight. Bit of a tap of the lights there for de Bruin as we head down into there, but you can see him feathering the throttle here, Takuma Sasaki. He doesn't want to go past, he wants to use the slip through to his advantage. I wonder, because we're expecting this to be a bit of a fuel consumption race as well, if he's just trying to save a little bit of fuel in these early stages as well.
Yeah, Stewart seeming thinking something to investigate there between the two drivers. I don't think so. It's just hard racing from there, but going back up the hill here, and already the gap between De Bruin and Lopez, you see this going on. Here's a replay actually of a bit further down the hill. This is Serrano and Carrazza. So Serrano gets past Carrazza, just getting a little moment off that curb there. I saw him in qualifying make that same mistake. It's very tricky to put down 800 horsepower with no traction control. Of a bit further down the hill. This is Serrano and Carrazza. So Serrano gets past Carrazza, just getting a little moment off that curb there. I saw him in qualifying make that same mistake. It's very tricky to put down 800 horsepower with no traction control at that corner.
Yeah, especially when the aerodynamics are not working at their optimum, because of course you're not going that quick coming out of that particular turn on the track. Very aero dependent and very aero efficient cars, these machines. You can see Lopez there now down in 3rd place, 7/10 of a second. He's sort of dropping off the back of Miyazono at this point. Sasaki's down into 5th position then at this point. De Bruin's up into 4th place. So down this back straight we go, and Sasaki with now more work to do than he was anticipating at this stage, especially given where the Japanese driver started. But De Bruin is on an absolute flyer here. He's right onto the back of Koke Lopez. They're both on the same combat of tyre. It's not like De Bruin's got an advantage with tyre combat. He's got a phenomenal amount of pace. He's got the inside line. Can he lunge into T1? That was audacious from Kai de Bruin as he goes up into 3rd place.
Those sort of moves are just 100% commitment. Kai had already decided before it even got past Lopez that I'm going for this move. And if he turns in, he turns in. But Kai needs to do that. He's got pace right now. He cannot afford to have that pace hindered by the cars in front of him. The Koke Lopez, very quick driver, but I wouldn't say in these cars he's the quickest in the field.
Just to give you an idea of the difference in terms of pace between De Bruin and Lopez. Lopez last time around a 1 minute flat 7.94. Kai de Bruin a 1 minute flat 1.62. 6/10 of a second faster. In these cars around this lap, that's a fortnight's worth of pace.
And that is the fastest lap of the race, even faster than Drummond on the soft compounder tyre.
Well, it's not over yet, is it? This one with Kai de Bruin. Kai de Bruin and Sasaki under investigation. So I wonder whether that's what caused Sasaki to go down the order. Let's have a look and see what happens later on as this continues on.
That was no further action, Tom.
Right, sorry, I beg your pardon.
Yeah. So no further action there, so the steward's sinking. Yep, that's fine. And we go back to this amazing battle. 290 kilometres an hour for the apex of T1 there. I cannot imagine the size of these virtual drivers. Their necks are through there, been massive. But what happened there? Sasaki just through, I think Lopez got on the curb a little bit there?
Yeah, quite possibly, unless they said no further action, unless there was a bit of contact that we didn't see and Lopez has just been the gentlemanly thing of letting off. I don't think that would be the case, but again, we didn't see exactly what happened. Anyway, it now sits with Sasaki in 4th place, Lopez in 5th position, De Bruin up the road in 3rd place.
Interestingly, Tom, sorry, I'm just looking at the timings. Miyazono was quicker than Drummond that lap. And there's no slipstream, that is just pace. So maybe those soft tyres are starting to go the other way. Maybe the medium tyres are time to be on around here.
Well, we're expecting the tyre distance to be about 7 laps or so, weren't we? We're expecting the mediums to be the favoured bit of rubber underneath these drivers. And Valerio Gallo there sitting in 6th place at the moment, not having too bad of a run. Got a good view of the battles unfolding in front of him, but he's not quite in contention for the podium places at this stage at the moment. This is what we are used to seeing in these longer formats of races. It starts off quite frantic, it gets a little bit quiet in the middle stages of the race, and then it really picks up towards the end as all the strategies begin to unfold in front of us.
Using all that curb there and a bit more, and some of the grass on the entry and the way in there. You know what? If it works, it works. And if the stewards don't say it's within track limits, then it's all free real estate. So following Valerio Gallo as he closes onto the back of Coque Lopez. Lopez had a great start there, managed to get up to third place initially, but since then maybe lost a little bit of the pace and is starting to fall back down the field again. Drumont managing to lap a bit quicker that time around than Miyazono, but they're just trading lap times, so it's interesting to see that soft tyre not quite performing at this stage of the stint.
No, just see Kylian Drumont there, 2.3 seconds the advantage he has on that soft compound tyres. Is he going to be coming in within a lap or so? Goes round this time, carrying on with those tyres, 1 minute flat 7.03. He was half a second slower than Miyazono last time around.
So maybe it's...
Let's have a listen here to Lopez. Well, fascinating to hear there from Coque Lopez. Really good to get a bit of backstory about the driver, the former Nations Cup champion, as he sits in 5th position. Right behind him, though, is another former champion, Valerio Gallo. Look at the tyres on the rear of Kylian Drumont, down to 23%. They're going to be feeling pretty second-hand at this stage, and they're going to be going down at a vast rate of knots. He carries on in the lead of the race for another run round, does the Frenchman at the moment.
He's got a box. He's got a box, so he's doing 108 right now. So, sorry, 1 minute 8.8. Get that right. But that's still 6/10 slower a lap than me. Look at the gap in the front, 1.6 seconds now between Miyazono and Drumont. I think if he stays out on the soft tyre any longer, he's going to risk ruining his strategy here, because Miyazono is just able to keep that pace on a tyre that is worse than Drumont. There you go. You see the gap there coming down a second in 2 laps. Drumont needs to respond to this.
So Drumont then through that right-hander. This is where he's going to be really feeling the pain of the poor traction of those very worn soft tyres on the exit of that corner. Kylian Drumont just going to not be feeling good at all. Look at that rear left, down to 12%. The rear right is absolutely fine. Illustroza going into the pit lane then. So he's gone from the medium tyres. Where's he going to emerge and on what tyre as well? I know he's a bit of a way down the order and out of sequence, but I'm just keen to see what his strategy is. He goes for the soft tyre then in the middle stint. Drumont has to come in, otherwise he's going to end up sending it into the barrier, I am sure. Miyazono carries on the medium compounds. Now, where will Drumont go in the middle stint?
I don't know if you saw that, but he had a really bad pit entry there. He I think got out of shape going into the pit lane. So those rear tyres there just burnt. He goes on to another set of the soft tyres. So that's at least a free stop then, it's going to be from Kylian Drumont. And I think that's going to be the fastest way around here, Tom.
Yeah. I think that you're absolutely right. Go for the hard tyre as late as you possibly can. Try and get those, like we saw with Igor Fraga actually in the Manufacturers' Cup earlier on tonight. Just try and do a one-lap dash on those and have as little time on it as you possibly can. See De Bruyne and Sasaki all over each other like a cheap suit at the moment as they try to find their way past one another and navigate around this fantastic Road Atlanta circuit over the crest of the hill. Sasaki there looking for an inside line. He's in the slipstream there, pulls out of it from Kai De Bruyne, so doesn't want to get himself ahead of the Dutchman at the moment, but just wants to stay in his wheel tracks. Through that left and then the right-hander we go, up over the crest of the hill. These medium tyres still holding on pretty nicely as it stands. The lap time's a little bit slower than we saw earlier on, but nonetheless still pretty good.
They're still lapping quicker than Drumont was when he boxed. So Miyazono, though, the pace very, very strong at the front of the field for Takuma Miyazono. Comfortably the quickest man in the first 5 cars. Serrano, actually, the quickest man on track on that last lap, down in 6th place, but not quite making his way to the front of the field just yet. So we're with Valerio Gallo right in the wheel tracks and bumping Coque Lopez. Now, he just got a warning for that, and I just saw him do it again there right on camera. So I'm not sure what the stewards are going to say about that. I don't think it was... It's a tricky one, because you don't want to lose momentum, and you can do that by giving the guy in front a little bit of a tap. But if you do that, you might also risk damaging the cars.
Look at that in front as well. You've got De Bruyne versus Sasaki.
Oh.
He keeps doing it here, does Valerio Gallo. And the stewards will be coming down on him like a ton of bricks. Lopez decides to get out of it. He lifts off the throttle down this back straight, says thanks very much, and lets Gallo back through. He wants absolutely no part of what's going on at the moment, does Coque Lopez. And I wonder whether Gallo may be under investigation investigation once more and possibly being set for a penalty here, because the stewards have seen now another 3 instances of that over the course of that last lap.
Yeah, you can get away with it once or twice, but after that, maybe not. But we'll see. I mean, I hope we don't get a penalty, because I want to see the race started on circuit, but that's just how things are. I mean, there are rules for a reason. Still on board with the Italian Valerio Gallo. Pace is good for him on this mid-stint. 1 minute 0.2 last lap, so very, very quick at the moment. He's got the bit between his teeth, and now looking to try and close in on Sasaki and Kai de Bruin, who I think his effort has, I say, it's not fallen off. He's done a 1 minute 0.4 last lap. Interestingly, a mistake, I think, from Miyazono last lap. A 101.1, which is about half a second slower than he has been doing over the course of this race. Sasaki looking to the inside of Kai de Bruin. Up the inside goes the Japanese driver up into P2. Now, can he catch his fellow countryman?
Beautiful block pass there from Sasaki as he came through the chicane. He's coming around that right hand, a tighter line though, and De Bruyn's not going to take this line down. Is he going to try and do exactly what he did last time on Lopez? He goes for the move on the inside and goes through, back into second. Kai de Bruyn, fantastic bit of commitment he's got through that first corner, and that's left Sasaki under threat here from Valerio Gallo. Look at him pushing the rear of the Japanese driver's car. You've got to be so careful, especially through these high-speed corners. Any wheel-to-wheel contact, and it's straight off to the scene of the crash. Lopez there going through on Gallo, and you can see Roach there as well. He's out of position down in 11th place. So what's happened there to Callum Roach? Because he's down in 11th place. He's already a lap down. Something's gone wrong there for the American.
I mean, he's made 2 stops at this point, and it is a very short lap, but I'm not quite sure what happened. I think Lopez isn't the sort to run into the back of someone. Maybe Roach just got a bit out of position there. Roach now trying to unlap himself from Coque Lopez. We don't really get many instances of cars being lapped around here, and diving up the inside, and now...
The thing is, this is going to cost Lopez time. Callum Roach, he's well entitled to do that. You can unlap yourself, but Lopez is going to be, well, madder than a polar bear in the Canaries after this one, because it's ruining his race at this stance. And look at the gap now that's been presented between himself and Sasaki. It's up to half a second. Now he's got all of that hard work to do again with a fast and furious American behind him.
The stewards are going to be busy on this one, I think. But yeah, what an interesting scenario, because we've never had a lap that's been this quick in these cars, and if you box twice earlier, which is what Callum Roach has done to try and have a fast run later on, then you can end up being a lap down. But honestly, at this point, I don't know what the rules are.
Right, let's see what the stewards do.
Another bit of contact.
Yeah, the thing is, it's too forceful, isn't it? If you're able to unlap yourself, fair enough, but you can't go and crash into the other side of the side of the other driver. And you see, it picks up a warning there for colliding with another car. And I wonder whether it's going to be long before we see the stewards coming down on this like a ton of bricks. Look at this. Now Gallo's trying to take advantage, trying to get his move done on the inside of Roach. Oh, this is getting very scrappy indeed. Lopez getting hung out to dry here. More hip and shoulder, more contact, and Serrano is coming through on his countryman as well, and does so for 4th place. So Serrano, in all of that drama, now moves onto the back of Takuma Sasaki for 3rd.
All this stuff has benefit Miyazono and Kai de Bruin, who are just outside of this battle. But yeah, I don't really know. It seems that it's just desperation from Callum Roach, because he's a lap down. He knows he's got pace in the tyres, but he can't do anything with it because he's stuck in this train. So I mean, Miyazono there, a track limit penalty for our leader, so that's going to help Kai de Bruin a second. That's a massive penalty. This might allow Kai to have a run coming down to the bottom, so he'll cross the line, serves the 1 second penalty. Look in the mirrors there, look in the rear view mirror, that is Kai de Bruin right behind us, closing up at a rate of knots. Won't quite be close enough for a move, but just like that, a 2.2 second gap is down to 4 tenths, and then a mistake there from Kai straight away. I think he got a bit too excited, a bit too quickly there.
Bit of target fixation. Miyazono decides to just sack off that lap, comes into the pit lane then on the medium tyres, and decides to get a new set of boots on. That leaves De Bruyn out in front to lead a Gran Turismo World Series race for the first time in 2024, as Miyazono goes then onto the soft compound of tyre. Carazza also in as well from the mediums. Where's he going to go? Where's Drumont? There is our earlier race leader. Thankfully for him, he's kept out of all of the drama that unfolded in front of him, where we saw Roach getting involved in the action.
Where's Miyazono? So Drumont comes round now on the exit and comes out ahead of Miyazono. That's very important for Kylian Drumont. So good pace there for Drumont on that second stint. And there is Miyazono. That's a big gap there between Drumont and Miyazono. 7 seconds Drumont has pulled on that stint, just on that soft compound of tyre. So it's looking like it's going the way of the Frenchman at the moment, but he does still owe some more tyres. So let's see a replay of what happened here.
Gallo versus Lopez up over the rise. That's the moment there for Gallo. Whoa!
Oh.
Okay. Thankfully, no cars following him and collecting him in that, but that could have been a bit more messy. Kai de Bruyne, former race leader, now into the pits, off of the medium tyres. Where's he going to go in his strategy? Most people have gone soft in the middle stint. And indeed, he does have a soft on then. So, Kai de Bruyne goes into the pits and will emerge where? That's the question, because he's had good pace, actually, in this middle stint of the race. He's looked pretty good so far, has the Dutchman. Look at the rest of the field, though. They're all involved in traffic. You've got, oh, hang on a minute, Callum Roach right in front of Takuma Sasaki. Right behind them, you've got Serrano and Lopez. You've got Guy Barbara lunging to the inside as well of Serrano. The thing is, I get it, they're involved in their own battle further down the order. They're entitled to be involved in their own race, but you can't go and compromise somebody else's.
I can tell you right now, there's going to be some words after this race between the drivers, I think, because it's just one of these difficult situations where if you are in the lead, I mean, we do operate the sort of blue flag rule here, and you are entitled to overtake if you're quicker, but it's to the point where they're interfering so much that it's changing the outcome of the race. Sasaki at the moment, so this is interesting. Sasaki, I think, is still stuck behind Callum Roach, or was last time we checked anyway, and this all goes in favour of Miyazono and Drummond, who are not currently sort of stuck in this train.
So then, over the rise we go. There is Jose Serrano. Takuma Sasaki, your race leader as it stands for the time being. Drummond there in fourth place. He's got 5.5 seconds of a gap now over Takuma Miyazono. And it's looking quite nice here for Drummond. Of course, he's got slightly older, softer compound of tyre, but that should be okay for him. Don't forget, they have to run every compound of tyre in this race. They must run the hards, the mediums, and the softs. There is Jose Serrano, sitting in the wheel tracks of Takuma Sasaki. I suppose the one advantage here for Sasaki is he's not having to punch the hole in the air in front of him. He's getting a bit of a slipstream here, which might be a bit helpful.
Let's check his lap time if he stays out. Will he stay out for one more lap? He does. Lap time, his last time around was a 101.4 on the slow end. This lap, a 101 minute 0.7, so an okay lap time for mediums at that part of the stint. Oh, and Sasaki almost wide that curb on the outside. Every time I see that, I cringe a bit. I think how many times I've gone through there, touched that
Serrano
curb and gone wild. And we're just showing you how difficult it is to thread the needle of these cars through here. Inestrosa and Robbie Heck behind now. The second place Serrano trying to find their way through on their strategies, of course, but a lap down. So what does Serrano do in this situation? You don't want to let him by, you lose time, but you don't want to risk being lunged by one of these guys like that. And then Ango Inestrosa, I think, either having contact with Serrano or being punted himself in the background. It's carnage. These cars are very fast around this circuit. And there's Coque Lopez now trying to find his way through. Do these guys get blue flagged or what? What's the rule here?
Yeah, well, it's under investigation. Oh, so no further action, I should say, there between Gallo and Lopez for that collision that we saw a little bit earlier on. Oh, this is just... You can feel the heart sinking for Coque Lopez here, because he's right behind these two drivers who are squabbling, quite rightly, for their own positions at the moment, and it's just costing him time. Serrano comes into the pit lane then at the end of the 21st lap. Lopez does. Well, he had no choice, though, did he, really? Whether that forced his hand.
I wonder if Drummond and Miyazono sort of foresaw this. I was like, OK, you know what, we're going to box and not get involved in any of this. Interesting, that gap between Drummond and Miyazono. It was about 6 seconds when Drummond, who has just actually come back into the pit lane. So he's come off that soft compound tyre. I think he realised that the tyre doesn't last quite as long as he wanted. Now, will we see the medium compound tyre come on here? We do see that medium compound tyre. Now, will we take that for 13 laps? I think it will last that long quite comfortably, then go on to the hard tyre for the last stint.
Yeah. So, no further action there with Inestrosa versus Robbie Heck for their collision. Out on track, the stewards deciding that all's fair in love and war as it stands. So, Sasaki, the only driver who hasn't made a pit stop in this race, just to remind you, he's managed to run those medium tyres, I should say, 21 laps from the start of this race, which is mightily impressive. But I bet you they're going to be feeling pretty clapped out now, and he'll come into the pits, and indeed he does. That is going to release Takuma Miyazono to the lead of this race. Now, where does Sasaki go in terms of his strategy? He's been on the mediums. Does he go for the soft in the middle stint and try and run the hards right at the very end, or does he do a middle stint on the hards? He does do a middle stint on the hards. Now, how long is he going to run this for? You'd imagine one lap, one and done, then stick the softs on for the end of the race.
We have had 2 drivers on this stint, 3 drivers finally dip below the 1 minute mark. Kylian Drummond, fastest lap from him on the soft tyre in that last stint was a 59.5, so getting quite close to qualifying pace there. These guys really on it right now, and these moments of clear air for Miyazono, for Kylian Drummond, this is where the race is going to be won or lost. So right now, if we look at all the gaps, Drumont's in clean air, Miyazano is out front, there's no one in front of him now. He can just drive into that on that soft compound tyre, and we know his pace is good. He's going to want sub 1 minute laps every lap now. Qualifying pace is needed for Miyazano if he wants to win this race.
So, on board here we are with Koke Lopez. Up front there is Takuma Sasaki through that right-hander. There you go. You've got Kai de Bruyne not too far up the road there as well. Just in front of them, I think that's a bit of lap traffic once again in this race, isn't it?
Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, is that Jose Serrano? It's difficult to tell from this angle as we come down this back straight. You see Lopez there closing up onto the back and lunges his way to the inside for fourth place. Decisive there then for Lopez. Obviously he's on the soft compound tyre compared to Sasaki's hard, but that just goes to show you how much more grip he's got under braking.
Yeah, I mean, that was just easy move for Koke Lopez. Up into P4 now. This is Koke Lopez's favourite place. He loves the P4, does Koke Lopez. He's always sort of hovering around here. Good last lap from him, 59.7. So the pace is there for the Spaniard in the X 2019. Is it enough to catch his fellow countryman? Callum Roach, though, is between them at the moment. So that might help him slingshot up to him as it is. So here are the current tyre stats so far. Miyazano has taken the medium and the soft, as have the other top 4 runners. A reminder, you do have to use every compound of tyre. Only person, or the people who've done that so far, are the bottom 4, which is maybe the reason we've seen them being lapped at the moment.
So, lap 23 out of 35. Miyazano still leading this race. He's on the soft compound of tyre as it stands. He's setting very fast lap times. Another 59.9. He's the only driver, aside from Koke Lopez, who was in the 59s last time around. But here is the man who is trying to challenge him for that victory. He's kept himself out of trouble, out of harm's way. Crucially, out of all that lap traffic drama that we saw early on as well. It's Kylian Drumont, the man who started this one on pole position, and that is going to be music to the ears of him. Look at that clear air in front of him. It's very hard to come by here at this Road Atlanta circuit, but at the moment he's lapping it up and doing a superb job. Probably the only thing I can foresee for him is that he's got Valerio Gallo on the soft compound tyre behind. Both, though, roughly about the same sort of time. The fact is, Drumont last time around was a 59.8, and that is exactly the same time that Gallo was setting on the soft compound tyre.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just see the pace of his guys right now. This is basically the hot lapping part of the race. Everyone's finding a little bit of space. Everyone knows the car right now. Everyone knows what they're capable of, and they just need to be putting in these quick laps. It's to take an analogy from F1, is Schumacher Hungary from whatever year that was, 98. You know, it's that. You have to just get your head down and just perform, get those results. And these guys, they're the best drivers in the world in Gran Turismo. So many of them now dipping under 1 minute for a whole lap of Road Atlanta. The pace here is unreal.
10 laps to go then here at Road Atlanta for the grand final of the Nations Cup. Kai de Bruyne, we ride on board with him. Is he bob on for a podium? Let's find out a little bit more about the man behind the mask. No, we won't. We'll do that a little bit later on, because you can see Kai de Bruyne sitting there in second place. There is Takuma Miyazano, 3.8 seconds, 3.6 seconds now up the road. Looking pretty interesting, this one.
Kai de Bruyne's catching.
He is.
He is catching. This would be amazing for the Dutch driver. One of the youngest drivers here is Kai de Bruyne, but you wouldn't know that from his driving. Very mature driving style, very fast as well. And I think at the moment he has the pace capable of catching one of the best GT drivers in the world, Takuma Miyazano. Here is Adriano Corazza, again driving from a poor grid position, P9. He started up in P6 now, so decent comeback so far, but I just don't think he has the pace to really challenge that top 5 at the moment.
Warning triangles for some of the drivers on their rear tyres, Robbie Heck and Guy Barbara. That means that their tyres are absolutely cooked. They've got to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Sasaki comes into the box and off of the hard tyres on this middle stint in the race. He goes for the softs right to the very end of this one then. So Sasaki's done all 3 tyre compounds. Now he can run to the checker flag. What about the likes of Takuma Miyazano, Kai de Bruyne, and in fact all the drivers in front of Sasaki and Drumont, actually, for that matter, as Drumont comes into the pits for his final stint in this race. Where's he going to go? Medium tyres then for him. Just comes in for a bit of fuel by the looks of things. He's quite happy with those medium tyres. He's deciding not to change them with 9 laps to go.
Probably just an update on some of the rules questions we asked a bit earlier on. And it's basically, if you get a blue flag, you have to get out of the way. We don't have that information, whether they're being shown blue flags or not. But you are allowed to retake or re-unlap yourself if you have the pace to do so.
So then, here is Drumont coming down through, just sitting all on his own at the moment. Where is he in terms of his lap times? Last time around, of course, he was a little bit slower, 1:06.4, because he came into the pit. Oh, into the wall! Kylian Drumont's thrown it away! I don't believe it! The Frenchman, coming out of the pit lane, made a pit stop for more fuel, stayed on the medium compound of tyres, and he sends it into the barrier on his outlap.
That has handed this race to Takuma Miyazono on a platter, on a massive just sigh, collective sigh here at the venue in Montreal. Sad to see it end that way. Here's a replay. It's a replay of what happened. So we're on board with Drumont. Comes onto the curb there, turns in, just gets on the curb a bit too much. You just can't save it at that point. The car goes off, and Drumont will be absolutely kicking himself down there. What a way for that to end.
Such a shame for Kylian Drumont. Now, look at this. Battle for second between De Bruyne and Serrano then. Down the start-finish straight we go. Serrano's going to send it on the inside. Oh, fantastic from Jose Serrano as he takes the lead at the start of lap 28 to the delight of the crowd. Miyazono into the pits then, onto the hard compound of tyres on lap 28. Surely he's going to want to run this for as short as he possibly can. But, I mean, you're looking a bit confused with that one, JB.
Yeah, it's an odd place to take the hard tyre. I mean, you can run soft to the end here, you can run mediums to the end here. To take the hard tyre, it just feels like there's a bit of a miscalculation there from Miyazono. So what I would like to see is that lovely little tyre graphic we have showing what has been run by each driver so far, so we can better understand what's going on. Here we are then. So Miyazono, yeah, he's going to go on that hard tyre. Doesn't have to stop again. I mean, you could come in again for another soft tyre, but it doesn't seem right to me. Serrano, who's currently out front, also has to box for that hard compounder tyre. But on this pace he's on, if he can eat this out right to the end and pit for the hard tyre right at the end of the race, he has a chance of winning this.
Well, every other driver in front has to run the hard compounder tyre. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Kai De Bruyne there into the pit lane. So where does he go from the soft compound tyre? He goes on to the hard as well. So are they just going to run the hards to the end of this race, or are they going to try and get them off as soon as they possibly can? At the moment, it's looking okay. Kylian Drumont on the recovery after sending it into the barrier. He's had a sequence, though. He's a lap down on Coque Lopez. Lopez sitting in second place at the moment. It's a Spanish 1-2 with just 6 laps remaining as De Bruyne comes out of the pits. He's going to be net on for a podium as it stands now here in World Series 1 in 2024. He's driven a quite superlative race. I don't want to jinx it because I know what the commentator's curse is like, but he's having a fantastic run of things so far.
Just looking at the lap times right now, what I would like to see is a lap time for Miyazono on this hard compounder tyre. So we'll keep an eye on that because that's going to be pivotal. That pace on the hard tyre is going to decide this race for Takuma Miyazono. Right now, Serrano blistering lap times to him, low 59s from Jose Serrano. So he knows this stint counts. He knows he has to push now. Coque Lopez also putting in some decent lap times, just not quite as quick as his fellow countrymen. There is Takuma Miyazono. There is Kai De Bruyne. So that is the race for them now. They're both on the hards to the end of the race. So it's going to be a straight fight. Serrano again well into the 59s. I'm still waiting for Miyazono to come through the last part of the lap to see what sort of pace he's on. What he needs to be maybe is within a low 1 minute lap time. Anything more than that, it's a 1 minute 0.6 for Takuma Miyazono, which is not a bad lap on that hard compounder tyre, but it's 8 tenths slower than the current leader.
Yeah, Serrano and Lopez still eking it out on that soft compound tyre. You can see the rears, though, getting pretty second-hand, to be honest with you. So I wonder whether they'll be coming in at the end of lap 30 for a new set of boots for the hard tyres to the end of this race. What does Serrano do? Nope, goes round again.
I would, if I was him.
Yeah.
I would do exactly the same thing. I would that tyre for as long as possible, the hard for the littlest time, because he's still capable of doing these sub 1 minute laps. Every lap he's doing that, he's building that gap to Miyazono or closing it depending on the aggro. We don't really know where he sits right now, which is quite an exciting thing, but again, Miyazono, about 6 to 8 tenths a lap slower at the moment.
So it's going to be close, isn't it? It's going to be
really
very,
close.
very close at the end of this one. I hope you're excited for this as much as we are here in the commentary box. So a Spanish 1-2 at the moment. They both got the hard compound of tyres. They both got their final pit stops left to run in this race. There's Valerio Gallo. He's up the road in 6th position, and this has been a fantastic race from Jose Serrano, part of the Spanish team which won the Nations Cup last year, along with Paul Ura and Coque Lopez, of course. And Serrano continuing where he left off.
These guys, they know how to win races. They are the Spanish contingent here in the GT World Series are all massively decorated, extremely quick, extremely consistent. Musical Coque, Consistency Lopez, as he comes into the pits now to, I think, come onto that hard tyre for the last part of his stint. But a good drive so far from Lopez, I think. The best he probably could have done from where he was in the grid. Got a bit caught up mid-race with some of the lapped cars there, which I think has sort of hindered his charge somewhat, but still a great drive. Again, Serrano still in under a minute on those worn tyres. What can Miezono do?
Well, Lopez here was lapping pretty similar to Jose Serrano, but he was about 5 seconds or so back. So I wonder where he's going to emerge in relation to Miezono and Kai de Bruyne. That will be the proof in the pudding for where Serrano is going to emerge. Let's have a look and see what happens. Through the first corner we go. Miezono goes through up into second. That's to be expected. But where is Lopez going to come out of the pit lane? How far behind Miezono, or indeed will he be behind Kai de Bruyne as we start the 32nd lap? Lopez there, 2.9 seconds away. It's going to be pretty close. But look at Serrano. He's now built that gap up to 31 seconds.
Has this been a masterclass from Serrano? He comes into the box now for his final pit stop. Has to take that hard compounder tyre. 32 seconds was the gap as he came into the pits. Will he get out before Miezono crosses the line and overtakes? This is now everything for this race. These mechanics chucking on a set of the new hard Michelin tyres. Serrano exits the pit lane. Where is Takuma Miezono on the track map? He's still going through the last chicane. There's Miezono now. Where is Serrano? Miezono coming around the last corner. Serrano now exiting the pit lane. Where is he? Across the line. Still waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. There he is. It's Serrano out in front. He is! Jose Serrano out in front of Takuma Miezono. What a stint from the Spanish driver, and now it's a straight fight between two of the quickest GT drivers in the world.
The only thing I will say, Serrano's got to get temperature into those tyres as we come through these first few corners. It's fast and flowing, and that's where Miezono will be able to use the extra speed. He needs to go now, as soon as he can, to give Miezono in order to be able to win this. It's Serrano versus Miezono, Spaniard versus Japanese driver, as we come down this back straight. So Miezono's got the advantage of the slipstream. Is he going to have a dive to the inside for the chicane? Serrano's going to be wide to that. Goes for the defensive line, tries to park it on the outside. Miezono goes for the outside line. Side by side they go. Down into the chicane. And Miezono leads at the end of lap 33. That was crucial for Miezono. He needed to do that to take the lead away and retain his chances of victory.
This fight is going to go down to the wire. I guarantee Miezono was shocked when he saw Serrano ahead of him there. No one would have suspected Jose Serrano to have that pace in the mid-stint, but we should know better than that by now. This guy is a multiple winner here in the GT Life Fence World Series. Miezono rocketing away down the hill there, using the advantage of not having to run through the dirty air, and he just needs to build a bit of a gap coming down to the straight. Already 8 attempts in that first sector. Miezono is locked in now. Can Serrano do anything from here? Sasaki with a penalty there in P5 as well, but the battle remains up front, weaving on the straight, trying to break the draft. Can Serrano do anything to catch Miezono?
Well, the crowd here are absolutely loving this one in Montreal, and Miezono pulling out an advantage of 0.6 of a second in a lap. 2 laps soon to become 1 remaining then here for Miezono. It is now or never time for Jose Serrano as we come around the final corner here at Road Atlanta to begin the final lap for the grand final in the Nations Cup. It is advantage Takuma Miezono as we go through turn 1.
You have to wonder, what if Serrano stayed out one more lap on that soft tyre? Would it have mattered? Would it have counted? Who knows? But we're on the last lap here, 0.8 of seconds to lead. Miezono just rocketing away in that first sector. I think Serrano had a mistake there. The gap over 2 seconds now, and Miezono showing you why he's one of the most respected drivers in the Gran Turismo community. This guy putting on a clinic here. He's only got half a lap now between him and victory. Miezono looking dominant once again.
This has been an absolutely fantastic performance from Takuma Miezono. It looked like it had swung in the direction of Jose Serrano, but Miezono was there. The temperature was in his tyres. He was ready to pounce. He had the initiative. He took the initiative. He took the lead of the race away. And now he comes through the final series of corners. What a commanding drive from Takuma Miezono here in the Nations Cup as he rounds the final corner at Road Atlanta to win World Series 1 here in Montreal. Fantastic. Takuma Miezono takes top honours. It's a double Spanish podium with Serrano leading home from Koke Lopez as well. And a fantastic race for Kai de Bruyne, the Dutchman. 4th position at the checkered flag. But what a drive. He's not a triple world champion for no reason at all. That was the drive of a man who wants to get another title in 2024.
Amazing drive by Takuma Miyazono, but of course big mention to Jose Serrano. He's plus 8 positions from his starting place. He almost won this thing. That middle stint was outstanding, but you have to wonder what could have been if there wasn't all that confusion mid-race with the lapped cars. That definitely cost Koke Lopez, definitely cost Jose Serrano, definitely cost Kai de Bruyne time. Miyazono was probably the only one that didn't get in the way of that one. So, but amazing racing here, and just like always, the Nations Cup comes down to the last lap. What fantastic viewing.
Let's have a look then at some highlights from that fantastic race. Takuma Miyazono taking top honours, but it was Kylian Drumont who started it on pole position on the soft competitive tyre, and it looked like he was bob on for running a blinder of a strategy. We saw some great moves being made from Kai de Bruyne as he elevated himself up the order. Koke Lopez here with Sasaki as well. They had a bit of contact with one another earlier on in the race, and it all got a bit messy in the mid-stint as we saw some lap cars getting involved in the action, which cost a lot of drivers crucial time.